Chapter 1. The Garden Meeting. My name is Daniel Hart, and I never thought my life would take such a turn. I was a simple young man from a small town. I worked as a helper in a flower shop. Every morning I carried baskets of roses and lilies to the park nearby. I enjoyed my quiet life, but deep down I always dreamed of something more. One sunny afternoon, as I placed fresh flowers near the park gate, I noticed a girl sitting on a wooden bench. She wore a light blue dress, and her hair moved softly in the wind. She looked like she didn't belong in the noisy world. She looked like she belonged in a story. I didn't know her name, but I couldn't take my eyes away. That girl was Amelia, daughter of one of the richest families in the city. Of course, I didn't know that yet. She smiled at the flowers in her hands, and something inside me made me walk closer. I placed a red rose on her bench and said, "This one is free." She looked at me, surprised, then laughed softly. "Thank you," she said. Her voice was calm, yet warm. We began to meet again and again. I never planned it. Sometimes I was delivering flowers, and she was already there reading a book. Sometimes she walked slowly in the garden, and I hurried to greet her. Once it started to rain, and I gave her my jacket. She smiled and said, "You'll catch a cold." I answered, "I don't mind." Amelia loved small things. She laughed when children chased butterflies. She clapped when an old man played violin near the fountain. She even helped me carry heavy baskets once, though her soft hands were not used to work. She was different from anyone I had ever met. But while I was falling in love, I knew deep down this was dangerous. A rich girl and a poor boy never had a happy ending. Still, I told myself, let me just live this moment, even if tomorrow breaks my heart. Chapter 2. Secrets Behind the Mansion Walls. One evening, Amelia finally told me the truth. She belonged to the Evans family, owners of factories, hotels, and even a private estate on the hills. I stood frozen when I heard this. My hands felt heavy. "Amelia, why would you talk to me then? I'm just a flower boy." She held my hand and whispered, "Because you see me, not my family's name." A few days later, she invited me to her family's mansion for tea. I almost refused, but her smile convinced me. When I arrived, my jaw dropped. The house was larger than the town hall. Golden lamps hung from the ceiling. The carpets were so soft I was afraid to step. Servants bowed when Amelia entered, but then came her parents. Mr. Evans wore a black suit and sharp glasses. He looked at me like I was dirt on his shoe. Mrs. Evans was even colder. She asked, "And what do you do for a living?" I nervously replied, "I work at a flower shop." Her eyebrows rose as if I had said something shameful. Dinner was heavy. I dropped my fork once and the sound echoed in the hall. Amelia tried to make me feel better by asking about the park flowers, but her parents only sighed. Mr. Evans finally said, "Amelia, this boy cannot even take care of himself. Do you expect him to take care of you?" My cheeks burned, but I stayed silent. After dinner, Amelia walked me to the gate. She touched my arm and said, "Don't give up. They don't know you like I do." Her words lit a fire inside me, but I also knew the war had just begun. Chapter 3. The Party of Humiliation. A week later, the Evans family held a grand party. Politicians, businessmen, and famous people all came. Amelia begged me to come too. "I want them to see who you are," she said. I didn't have rich clothes, so I borrowed a black suit from my neighbor. It was a little big, but it was all I had. The party hall shone with crystal lights. Music played, and guests danced in long gowns. I stood near the wall, feeling like a shadow. Some people glanced at me, whispering. One man laughed at my old shoes. My ears grew hot, but I stayed calm. Amelia proudly introduced me to her friends. Some smiled politely, but others gave me fake laughs. When food was served, I reached for a plate, but a servant stopped me. "These are for guests only," he said. I wanted to shout, "Am I not a guest?" But I bit my tongue. Then something worse happened. Mr. Evans raised his glass and said loudly, "My daughter deserves the best, not some flower seller." The room laughed. My heart pounded so hard I thought it would break my chest. Amelia's eyes filled with tears. She ran to me, holding my hand, and whispered, "I don't care what they say." I left the party that night with heavy steps. My pride was torn, but her hand in mine gave me strength. For the first time, I knew this was more than love. This was a fight for respect. Chapter 4. The dinner that changed everything. The night was cold when Amelia finally decided to take me home to meet her family again. She had argued with her father for weeks, and though he still didn't like me, he agreed to let me come to their house for one dinner. Amelia told me, "No matter what happens, I want you by my side." My heart beat fast as we walked up the grand steps of the big mansion. Inside, her mother smiled politely, but her father's eyes were sharp like knives. At the dining table, the food was served in silver dishes. Everyone ate quietly. Suddenly, Amelia's brother, Oliver, asked me, "So, Ethan, what do you do for fun? Can you even afford hobbies?" His words cut deep. I stayed calm and replied, "I read books, I play football with my friends, and I write short stories." Oliver laughed loudly, but Amelia squeezed my hand under the table. She whispered, "Don't worry, I'm proud of you." As the meal went on, Amelia's father asked me tough questions about money. "How will you take care of my daughter? Can you buy her the life she deserves?" I looked into his eyes and said softly, "I may not have gold, but I have a heart that will never leave her. I will work day and night to make her happy." For the first time, her father stayed silent. Even her mother looked surprised by my words. When dessert was served, something unexpected happened. Amelia stood up, holding my hand, and said, "Dad, Mom, I don't want jewels, dresses, or cars. I want love, and I already have it with Ethan. If you cannot accept him, then you cannot accept me." Her words shook the whole table. Her father's face turned red with anger, but her mother lowered her eyes, hiding her emotions. That dinner ended in silence, but it was not just silence. It was the sound of walls breaking slowly. I walked out with Amelia that night, holding her close. I realized that this fight was no longer just mine. It was ours. Chapter 5. When life tested us. After that dinner, Amelia's father refused to speak to her. She left the mansion and came to live with me in my small rented apartment. The room was small, the ceiling leaked when it rained, and the bed was old. Yet Amelia smiled and said, "This is my palace because you are here." Her words gave me strength. We began to live simply. I worked in a bookstore during the day and washed dishes in a cafe at night. Amelia also took a job as a teacher for small children. Every evening we cooked together in our little kitchen. Sometimes the food was only rice and vegetables, but Amelia would laugh and say, "This is better than the feast at home." Her laughter filled the tiny walls with light. But life was not always kind. One winter, I lost my job at the bookstore. We had no money to pay rent. I felt broken. One night I told Amelia, "Maybe your father was right. Maybe I am not enough for you." She took my face in her hands and said, "Don't ever say that. You are more than enough. We will face this together." Her faith kept me alive. Soon after, Amelia fell sick with a high fever. I had no money for a doctor. I ran from door to door, asking for help. Finally, an old neighbor gave me some medicine and blankets. I sat by Amelia all night, praying she would wake up. In the morning, she opened her eyes and whispered, "See, you saved me." Tears filled my eyes. In that moment, I knew our love was stronger than any storm. Even though the world turned against us, Amelia never let go of my hand. She was my strength, my light, and my reason to fight harder every single day. Chapter 6. When Love Won. Months later, something shocking happened. Amelia's father came to visit us. I froze when I saw him standing at our small door in his fine suit. He looked around at our tiny apartment with sharp eyes. Then he said quietly, "Amelia, are you really happy here?" Amelia smiled brightly and replied, "Happier than I ever was in that big house." Her father sighed and sat down. "I tried to keep you away from him because I thought money mattered more than love. But I see now that I was wrong. You are strong because of him, and he is strong because of you." For the first time, his eyes softened as he looked at me. "Ethan, I misjudged you. You have given my daughter what I could not, peace and true happiness." Tears rolled down Amelia's face as she hugged her father. He even placed his hand on my shoulder and said, "Welcome to the family." My heart raced. For so long I had fought to prove myself. And now, at last, her father's words felt like victory. From that day on, things changed. Her parents supported us. We moved to a small but better home where Amelia planted flowers by the window. I found a stable job in a publishing company, and slowly our dreams began to grow. Years later, we stood together looking at the life we had built. It wasn't gold or diamonds, but it was made of love, respect, and faith. I looked at Amelia and whispered, "You chose me when the world didn't. That is the reason we won." She smiled, her eyes shining with love, and said, "Yes, we won. Because love always wins in the end." And truly it did.